Back like we never left. The most interactive sports show. It is the Overtime Sports Show, Friday evening, Mother's Day weekend. I am AB. He is the one and only
G-Man from 97 out of the box, a G and a Pimp 2 to 7. And I'm still Cinco de Drinko'd out right now. So I'm trying to catch my third win. So yeah, you can see me.
I can see it in your eyes, brother. Yeah. You had a great 2 days. You didn't just do one day.
Yeah.
You went overtime.
Yeah, we did Cinco de Mayo on Wednesday at down in Rockies. I usually host every year. And then yesterday I was down at the Golden Nugget in Louisiana.
Oh,
we did a little pool party in the daytime, and then a little bit of gambling in the nighttime, and came back this morning. So
Cinco Nuggets, man. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Of course, like, share, comment. It's an interactive sports show, so your comment is valuable to us today. But more importantly, make sure you share it right now. Let everybody know the Overtime Sports Show is on. Man, listen, I've been trying to get over, and I got to give a big shout out to our good friends at Academy Sports and Outdoor. I need a bicycle, man. Everybody's been riding these bikes, talking about going 13, 14, 25 miles. I said, I need to get down to my Academy Sports and Outdoor and get me a bike. And, of course, it's Mother's Day weekend, so you can get some great fitness activity for your mom, whether it's clothes, whether it's biking, whether it's shoes. You can get some great gifts from Academy Sports and Outdoor. And I got a shout out to Casey as well. Do you have a bicycle, man? I know you got that live gear on.
You know, I had a motorcycle and I sold it, but I don't have a bicycle. My wife just bought one, like an old school bike. I got to go get it redone. But yeah, I definitely want a bike. I got to stop by Academy. I got one right down the street in Pasadena that I go to. Hang on, my dog.
Hit it up. Yeah, bring your dog on in, man. Your dog likes sports too. Yeah. Look
over there. Here, look, turn that way. Say what's
we
up?
Need to name the dog. We need to give your dog an Overtime Sports Show name, man.
Yeah, this is actual. I'm surprised taking this long to come say hi to me. But yeah, hey, shout out to Jason Finch. He just checked in right now. What up, Jason? G-Town in the building.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Brown checked in too.
Listen, man, a lot of activity has happened this week. The Astros were in New York. Of course, basketball season is winding down. Got trouble with LA and Brooklyn. They're having issues right now. And of course, we had a big signing here in Houston, a big recruit to sign with Texas Southern University. We're going to get in that conversation. And of course, we got to get into the NFL draft with our Houston Texans. So why not bring the 2002 draft pick, second round pick from San Diego State? He retired as a Houston Texan. G-Man, you got to bring him into the Overtime Sports Show.
You know what? I told this story a couple of weeks ago. My man Chester Pitts, CP2. So he was the first dude that I ran into in the locker room. No, he actually came and ran me down in the locker room and said, "Look, man, I've been here for 7 years, and you ain't never invited me to come on 97 out of the box." He called me out in front of everybody in the locker room. I'm like, okay, so ever since we've been cool. We've been homies for a long time, man. I haven't had a chance to talk to him since he stopped doing the TV thing. But Chester Pitts, former Houston Texan on the line. What's up, CP?
Yes, sir. Chester.
What's up, fam? How y'all doing today, man? Y'all all right?
Do you remember that conversation, Chester, when you came up to me in the locker room?
I thoroughly enjoyed calling you out in front of the whole locker room. Hey, you should have seen his face. I mean, he went from Latino to Caucasian because he was ghost white.
what is Chester doing, man? Why is he calling me out? Yeah,
I see this big old lineman coming down, almost half naked. He's like, "Hey, man, let me tell you something. I've been here. I ain't never been invited on the box." I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna get you on, bro. I got you, man."
Yeah, man. You know they had that.
I was hot. I was like, why I can't get on the box? What's up?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And they had the lineman locker room session, so they were all together in one section. So it was like, but Chester, I can't lie, man. You've always one of the people who were friendly to us when we came into the locker room. So, man, we celebrate you for that, for always being a genuine kind of guy. And congratulations on retiring as a Houston Texan, man.
Hey, man, you don't even understand how elated. You don't get to use that word very often. That's one of my SAT words back when I was in school. But just when a culmination, it all came together. There's always going to be a place in my heart near and dear for my Houston Texans, simply because, I mean, San Diego State, started 2 years, but, just wasn't a huge program, compared to a lot of the others. Took a shot on me, gave a youngster a chance. And you best believe that when that opportunity came, I made the most of it. So really, in real life, if you are in the rare air of one of two, I mean, me and Andre Johnson, I feel like it's one hell of an honor, and for the Texans to step up and do that for me, that was just absolutely massive. And then come on, double back and say, we want you to go to the draft for us, announce the picks, So it was a hell of a week last week. It really was, and getting to take my son, who just turned 15 on May 3rd. So getting to take him with me out to the draft and, get that experience, I can say my son has met the commissioner. How many people can say that?
Wow.
What I'm saying? It was real cool.
Yeah.
Real legit.
Man, I know when you came into the league, Chester, I remember leading up to the draft in 03 and 04, they was always talking about ESPN, like, who are you going to draft? And they had like the Texans, they had David Carr like behind the center by himself. They said they need like offensive line. Did y'all take that personal, man? How you actually played really good. You were one of the few that played a long time and was a stellar on that offensive line. How did you take that, man, when people was talking about, they need a whole offensive line because they can't block and this and that?
So you gotta be careful, and granted, the world has changed a lot since the early 2000s till now.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, no matter what was happening, no matter what was going on, inside the building and inside the locker room was truly sacred. No matter what happened in the locker room, no matter what conversations were had, nothing that went on in the locker room ever came out of the locker room. So even though, there were commercials, there were naysayers, anybody who knows anything is, perception isn't always what reality is. And this is definitely one of those cases where, trust me when I say, it wasn't all the offensive line or the tight end.
We know.
Responsible for blocking. And
if anybody knows football, they know. They can see with their own eyes. Hey, your eyes don't lie.
In time, you will see. If you studied and you watch the tape and you watch the film, we look, everybody could have played better. Everybody could have done better. But it certainly was not nearly the level of imbalance that the media tried to portray the first couple years. And it was just because they wanted to protect the Golden Boy, because they wanted to keep his confidence strong. And they were constantly trying to build him up so that he could play to his potential. It just, some people take more time than others. And certainly some people definitely get more leeway than others to showcase those talents.
Chester, I got to ask you about the draft. Of course, it's the first time fans were allowed back to be a part of the draft since the pandemic. But, man, you came out dancing on the stage and you had like your little speech before you got to the pick. So take us into that experience for you being able to call out the Texans' first pick, even though it was in the third round.
So first of all, obviously, it was freaking awesome, right? It was crazy, right? So here's the thing. I had a full plan. I thought about what I was going to say. I was like, bet, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to show some love. I'm going to get the crowd on my side. Actually, at first, I was going to go out there and talk trash because Cleveland's fans, they're ruthless. So it's very easy to get them going. And sometimes, like Floyd Mayweather has made almost $1 billion off of being the bad guy as opposed to being the good guy. And, kind of just the way I roll, I'm usually pretty nice and considerate. I don't really talk a lot of trash, especially publicly. So I was gonna go out there and just be a jerk, right?
Yeah.
So then right before I go out, the commissioner comes up to me and says, I think you should go out there and, have some fun with the crowd.
Yeah.
And they were playing that, what's that song? Don't stop, keep believing. You know that, whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
Journey, don't stop believing.
There you go. So look, the band is playing, the crowd is singing. It is almost a come to Jesus moment. Like the crowd is so happy and warm. So I can't go out there guns blazing and talk about y'all been trash for the last 30 years, right? So I can't do that. So I had to figure out between the time he said that and the time they said, okay, Chester, go, it was about 13 seconds. So I didn't have a whole lot of time to come up with a new game plan. But one thing I did remember was a story about my pops. Growing up, look, my dad is from Rochester, New York. Moved to California right after, to finish high school. But he's the biggest Cleveland Browns fans that exists. My whole life growing up, I'm from LA, Raiders all day, right? Raiders, Rams, even the Chargers a little bit because it's all Cali, baby. But my dad was the biggest. It was the craziest thing ever. He cared them brownies gonna be awesome this year, boy. You watch. That when I was 7 and 8 years old, that's what I heard regularly from my father because he loved them brownies. But then I was like, Dad, they're terrible. They've never been good. They ain't been good since Jim Brown. Or
exactly.
Maybe when Bernie Kosar was there. But I told that to the crowd, and the crowd was on their edge because they wanted to boo me because it's just what the Cleveland fans do. And then all of a sudden they started cheering and clapping and going crazy. Because the traveling Texans were there too.
Yeah.
Texans, they made it out. They had their own little booth. They over there in the VIP. It was hilarious checking them out. They had their feet up. They're screaming and yelling. And then you could hear they were already screaming and yelling for me. It was a little bitty roar. And then all of a sudden, bang, whole crowd just went crazy and they loved it. So I was like, all right, Cleveland, y'all all right with me from now on. So it was just a cool deal. I mean, obviously being cooped up for a year, trying to stay the hell out of the way of COVID.
Exactly.
Stay alive and keep my lungs and my brain and all my body parts safe because COVID is an absolute monster and what it has done to so many of our fellow Americans. But yeah, as you could tell by how hyped up I just got, it was a hell of an experience. And then you take all of that, and I got to bring my son with me. That was just the icing on the cake. It was crazy.
Hey, I got to ask you, Chester, man. A lot of people, they play in the NFL as long as you did. They finish. They're like, man, I'm a Cadillac. I'm gonna kick back and get my pension and my money, man. But when you were with the Texans, I remember seeing on TV that you were actually interning like in a financial institution. When you retired, you didn't just kick back and put your shoes up and start smoking cigars. I mean, you still went back to school. Talk about that whole experience, going back to school, getting your MBA, and what are you doing now? At life after football.
Yeah, so I always thought it was crazy how folks like work just enough. Well, if you work just enough and your mindset is to work just enough, you always gonna have to go right back to work. You're gonna be good for a day. You're gonna be good for a week. You're gonna be good for 2 weeks, and you're gonna have to go right back to work. It's one of those things I've learned in business. So no matter what, and this is the way you treat business, you treat deals, you treat humans. No matter how much I eat in this one meal, in 8 hours, I'm gonna be hungry again.
Right.
So the mindset of trying to make a quick lick and then you're done, it doesn't work. It's never worked. Like never in the history of the whole planet. Before there were humans, animals to other animals couldn't pull quick licks on somebody because the rest of the animals was coming to get you. It doesn't work.
Is that why a lot of NFL players fail?
Well, here's the problem. What ends up happening is when you grow up and you have nothing, when you go from nothing to having a whole lot of something, the mindset of mom and dad go to work every single day. Mom and dad's whole paycheck gets spent because that's what it takes for us to survive.
Right.
The mindset, though, of get check, spend check, that mindset doesn't change because there's more zeros on the check. And that's what guys have to really focus on and think about. You only spend what you need to spend. You don't spend the check just because the check is made. And then people think, just think about it. When you go from absolutely having very little to being able to do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it, that's a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a high that you end up chasing, and it's simply because you just didn't have the foundation and the understanding of whether you make $1, $10, $1 million, or $1 billion. If you spend only what you need to spend, you'll be all right forever. You live, live like a prince, and you can live, you can live like that for a lifetime. You live like a king, you live like a king for 5 to 10 years, because kings never in the history of it have continued to last. And really at the end of the day, it's finding a way to teach that when kids are young, so that their mind and their thought process and ultimately their value proposition. What is important to me? Getting them to understand what has value, what does not have value. And look, no knock against all of the very wealthy people that have created brands and they can sell a hat for $2,500. Hey, there's always a market for you. And if you have that kind of bread where $2,500 on a hat is nothing for you, then hey, live your life. Do that. Do you live great. But if that $2,500 hat and you only got $3,000 in your account, I don't really feel like that's a really smart or wise investment to spend, 75% of all the dollars that you have to go out here and get a hat. And
Chester, is it designed by the league? And do they do a great job of informing our players on investing? Do they do a great job of educating our players? Or is it designed by the league not to educate our players, or are they just not listening?
Well, they do have the rookie symposium, right? Chester,
so that's what I'm gonna say this with my chest. I'm gonna say it with my chest. Could the league do better?
Mm-hmm.
I'll always say they can do better. But in real life, the NFL does a lot for the men that play this game. If you pay attention, if you buckle up, if you listen, you will learn life skills and things that people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars at school to learn. You'll get to see it every day of your life if you're paying attention. All those years while I was in the building at 2 Reliant Park, which is now 2 NRG Park, I learned the business of the NFL. And last time I checked, the business of the NFL is a booming. If you learn and pay attention to the way they operate and the way they do things, the business of the NFL, every day I apply something I learned when I was in the building in the league to my life today for every single business decision that I make. Every single one. I watched the executives. I asked the executive question. Whenever I would see them at lunch, I could easily go sit and play video games, or I can go watch some stupid video on YouTube, or Mr. Jamie Roots was sitting over here. I can go ask Mr. Roots, why do you always say fan brand revenue? Why is it so important to you to never, ever, ever give up a home game? I've heard you say these things. Where is it? Explain to me. I don't understand. And then he would break down the difference of the amount of money that you would make at a home game versus the amount of money that you make on the road. And he would break all these things down. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he talked about the business of the NFL when you make the playoffs. The business of the NFL when you make the playoffs is so beautiful because you go from 50% of all the money that you spend on any given game day to now 5%. Because guess what? All the big old salaries that all the players made now get reduced to everybody makes the same wage, and it's a very tiny wage during the playoffs. So all the money at the gates, all the money at the parking, all the money concessions, all the ribs and beef ribs and all the great food, all that straight to the straight to the pockets. That as they say, business is a booming. So when you pay attention and you listen and you watch people that know what they're doing, you watch the moves that they make, and you pay attention because they know what the hell they're doing, and you listen, you have a real chance to be as successful as you want to be. But if you don't want to invest the time.
Yeah. One thing, Chester, it was a game inside of a game, just to validate what you were saying. Because when you look at the stadium, we've been there since day one. You think about all the corporations and businesses that are advertising. You guys are playing on the field. They got ticket sales, but they're making so much money just off these advertisers and sponsors. It's like it's a game inside of a game.
Man, I'm trying to find a way to stack my chips up as tall as I can stack them up. So one day, just let me come on, give me that 1% equity is all I ask. I need that work done deal like he had in Atlanta, because this is a fantastic business. The fans love the game and they thrive and strive, and they need it. And anytime when we got guys on the field that bring a level of entertainment that humans have to have, humans have to consume. Here my check. Here go my whole check. I just want to be entertained. And as long as you are out there doing that and making sure you're performing to the best of your ability, that's what fans pay to see, and they're good with it.
When did you realize, Chester, that, man, the money I'm making is not normal, what normal people make, and I just can't go blow. When did you tell yourself, you know what, I can go buy me a Lambo, I can buy this and that, but I don't want to do that. I need to put it up. When did you realize, what was there a changing moment in your life that you snapped and said, man, I remember a long time ago, I forgot who it was, NBA player said, well, we spend a lot of money because we make a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's something to that effect. But when did it come to you and say, you know what, if I keep going at this rate, or if I do something like this, I'm gonna be broke by the time I'm 35?
Well, okay. So first and foremost, I gotta give a massive amount of love to my moms. So my mom was, when I say she was a woman, especially like, I mean, in the 80s and 90s, that was ahead of the curve or ahead of the game when it came to teaching her kids the value of $1. I mean, okay, go back to when we was kids and really think about it. They didn't have credit cards. They didn't have debit cards. You had $39.75 to go grocery shopping, right? And we all know when you go grocery shopping, you better have some form of an idea of a running tab, because now when you're going to get to the register, you're going to be embarrassed. And no one likes that feeling. Oh yeah, go ahead and put that back and go ahead and put that back. Yeah, so very early on, I learned how to do this running tab while we were going shopping. But also while we would go shopping, my mom would teach us the difference between certain items, like when you have to go name brand versus when you can go with the store brand, just depending on what the item is. So then I took those, lessons, and I took that information because she drilled that in me pretty early on. And then one other thing that she really taught me was, when opportunity comes to your door, not only open your door, but you show them the manners that that you rarely get to show off. You invite them in, you get them something to drink, you ask them anything that you can do for them, because when you do that, you pave the way for more opportunities to come. So the way I saw it, I had my baby girl who is now 24 when I was 17. So when I was 16 years old, when I found out I was going to be a daddy, my mama said, "Oh, you grown? You're going to get a job. So you want to act like an adult. Adults work for a living." So I had to go get a job very early on. So I learned how hard I worked. And this was back when I want to say minimum wage was about $5.35.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I was bagging groceries at the grocery store at Ralph's. And I chose Ralph's for one reason. I chose Ralph's because it was a union gig. In 30 days, I was in the union. And if you're in the union, you have full health care and coverage. So when you're about to have a baby, obviously having full health care coverage is a wonderful thing, because I can't, I couldn't be the guy that was on the welfare and all that stuff. I was like, no, as long as I'm physically capable, I got too much brain power. No, let's go to work. So that's why I chose that. But I knew how hard I worked, and I knew what my paycheck looked like. So when I went to San Diego State, I went to go be an engineer, walked on to the football team, messed around and got good. The NFL drafted me in the second round. The Texans drafted me. And they told me my signing bonus was going to be $1 million.
That's a nice night. That's a nice night.
So my first hard lesson that I learned was what taxes really were. Because when your check $117, taxes is about $6. Who's tripping? Right? Nobody's tripping. When you talking about $1 million check, though, they took 28% off the top, and they really had another 5 to 7 they were coming to go get. The blessing of being in Texas going to Texas was I was in California, so I wasn't gonna have to give California 10% more on top of what I've already given. But that was a hard pill to swallow, to say y'all said y'all was giving me $1 million. $1 million, and this chick says $688,000. That's right. That's not the same. That was a problem. I needed an explanation now. You see me almost knocked over my whole dog. So learning all these things brought me all to the point where I have always valued $1. I very early on understood, look, it's dope to have a nice car, but just think about it. Like I grew up when Hammer was hot. Yes, sir. And I remember Hammer was hot, and then Hammer was broke in my same childhood. Like I was like, how you had 50 million? Like I mean, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, person after person after person that has said out loud, that ain't gonna be me. Well, there's a whole lot of people that say that ain't gonna be that it ends up being. Being a 6'5", 320-pound dude also helped me because all them little cute fancy cars, I couldn't fit none of them anyway. So that
it was a good thing. It was a good thing.
Nah, cool.
Yeah,
I'm good. No worries. I'm gonna keep it pushing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, when you buy for $100,000 and I take that same car, and if I went to go trade it in a year later and it's lost 30% of the value,
yeah, man.
Just do the math. Like, you mean to tell me you bought a car? It cost you $30,000 to own the car for 1 year? That's not good math. That's not, for $30,000, we can go rent, and I'm talking the Lambo. We can go do donuts and all kind of. We can go tear the club up with that,
right,
with that same amount of money, and I'm gonna end up in the same spot if I'm getting rid of the car, right? So that just let me know to just focus on really just things that mattered, and and try to live my life of the rule of one. You don't need one wife. You don't need one house. You don't need one girl. You only need one. You don't need 7 houses. You definitely don't need 7 women, and you definitely don't need 7 cars.
7 cars, can't drive them all.
Try my best.
Yes, sir. Listen, Chester, man, before we get you out of here, I gotta ask you about the draft. The Texans, I know they won't say it, but I know we're kind of in the rebuilding mode. Of course, with Davis Mills, we picked a quarterback with our first pick of the 3rd round. Nico Collins followed that. Brevin Johnson, a tight end from Miami, who I like as well. What do you think, and how do you think the Texans did in this year's draft? And, of course, agreement with what the Texans are doing as far as rebuilding.
I mean, here's the deal. In real life, when your first pick isn't until 67, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to hold somebody and say what somebody's capable of doing. It's like somebody with a sprained ankle, and then I want you to go out here and run and plant and cut, and I'm going to evaluate you. I mean, you're kind of handicapped and you're limited. Did they make the best of what they could do? And based on that assumption, I would give a B+. It's going to be one of those things we will see. I want to see with Mr. Stanford quarterback, if that guy is the guy that we saw his tape, and on tape he looked really good, but the sample size was so small, it makes it very difficult to say. But here's the thing: Coach Shaw poked his chest out and said that, look, if he stayed in school 1 more year, he would have been a top 15 pick. So to get a guy that like his, but it's a little slanted because it's his own coach. But in that same breath, if he was going to be even a 1st round pick in any way, shape, or form next season, and you get him now as a 3rd round, and you basically get to give him a red shirt year to learn anyway. So it's really kind of the same thing, especially because the investment and the cost is so cheap. If that's the case, then wow, he's going to, it don't even matter what he did in the rest of the draft. If that guy ends up being a player, he won. I think that Nico has the most potential upside to come in and day one be a guy. 6'4", 215, great hands, the ability to go up and get it, and solid straight line speed. I think that, I think he's got a chance to make some hay, and especially, when you got a guy like that, Calvin Johnson is the guy that everybody's going to come up with because he's a big, tall, strong, physical receiver that will go up and get the ball. Randy Moss, not quite as fast, not nowhere near as fast as Randy, but the ability to go up and get the ball. So if this guy can go out and show some, show some production, make some plays, kind of as a rookie, then I think it will end up grayed out and be just fine. When you're talking about drafting in the later rounds, everybody talks about how late Tom Brady got drafted, but it doesn't happen that often. Like you find decent players back there, but if you got a guy that can come in and be a special teamer and can come in and be a solid backup if ever the starter gets hurt. But I tell you what, because this team right now has so many journeymen, not a whole lot of big name solidified starters. I mean, you got Whitney, you got Cunningham on defense. I mean, that's about it right now because we don't know what's going on with D. Watson and all that just yet. It's going to be a really competitive team. It's going to be a lot of bang. I tell you one thing: if you ever wanted to go to a training camp practice when it's padded, this is the year you're going to want to go. You're going to see competition like you've never seen before, simply because ain't no starters right now. Anybody can end up being a starter right now. So if ever you were a guy and you were a fringe guy and you want a shot, this is the team you want to sign with right now because you got a chance. You're going to get your reps. You're going to get your opportunity. It is not locked up, sewn up by any stretch. You're going to get your chance. So this is the guy you want to get out. I mean, this is the time you want to get out there because you can do it this year. Like,
and I love the fact that he signed all the guys to the 1-year contract, as you said. He created
everybody
competition.
Hungry.
Yeah, everybody hungry.
Everybody hungry. Everybody playing and fighting. Like, this it for me. If I don't make it this year, I'll leave you like I'm trash. If I ball this year, I got a chance to re-up and get big money next year. What you want to do?
Yeah, got a ball.
Who wouldn't want that opportunity? Who wouldn't want that chance? Let's go compete.
Wow,
I love it.
Spin real game right there, Chester Pitts, former
I'm trying to be like Terry, man. Get some of that free game, man.
Yeah, you know Terry got that free game. Yeah, Terry, she got that free game, Chester. She can do it. Yeah, man. Chester, we appreciate you, man. Thank you. Former Houston Texans, a retired Texan, drafted, of course, in the second round of 2002 draft. He's a businessman. He's a great guy. We appreciate you, Chester, hanging out with us in the Overtime Sports Show. Let everybody know how they can keep up with you.
I'm super simple. It's just my name straight across. So Chester Pitts on Twitter, on IG, and on Facebook. Those are the only ones I'm on right now. It's all good.
I think I could have got around you, Chester. I think that hand work. I could have got around you when you played left tackle, man.
I won't embarrass you on your own TV show, but just cut it out.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. You're kind. You're a kind brother. Thank you, Chester.
Y'all be good, man. Enjoy your weekend.
Is there any opportunity for you to maybe get back into some kind of TV sports role, or are you done with that? You gonna stick with what you got your MBA on and all that? What are you thinking?
For the right opportunity, I would, and it would make sense. I've had plenty of opportunity and chances and invites, but all of them were in either New York or LA. And
yes, sir.
And I love H-Town. I want to stay in Texas. So if we can get the Houston media market to get up into somewhere in the top 5, then they can figure out and get enough money together so they can pay me. So it's really worth my time because I want to do it, but I can't work 7 days a week, and it's just it's all got to make sense. It's all got to make sense. Always got to make sense.
Love it, man. Appreciate you, big bro.
Y'all
all
be
right,
good, man.
Take care.
Thanks,
hey, man. Hey,
love that.
You right there, man. We've been friends, like I said, since 2002.
Yeah.
Called me out in the locker room, man. That's just a really good dude right there, man. Got his head on his
enjoyed that day. Yeah, I enjoyed that day of him calling y'all. Man, we got to give a big shout out to Sam Houston State. They beat North Dakota to advance to the FCS semifinals. They're going to have a big game coming up against number 3 seed James Madison. Of course, the Bearcats are 8-0. I got a lot of friends that graduated from Sam Houston State. And if they win this, man, they have a 15-0 all-time playoff record at home. It'll be good for them as they are in search of their first ever championship. And I think they got a great team this year with Eric Stroopman, who threw for 227 yards and on their way to this big semifinal in this championship. So congratulations to Sam Houston State Bearcats for holding it down for H-Town, man. We appreciate them guys. You know what time it is, G-Man. We got to hoop it up.
Yes, it is time for the NBA Minute. Of course, you can catch the NBA Minute on 97.9 The Block from 2 to 7 p.m. with myself and JQ with G and a Pimp. Well, of course, the Overtime Sports Show, this segment is brought to you by Hennessy. Never stop, never settle. Now, man, I tell you what, man. The last week or so, we've had some great games. We had the Bucks and the Nets play a couple of times, like playoff basketball with the Bucks getting the best of them. But man, now you got to watch out because the Lakers they're on a little downfall. But I think it's because of injuries and all that.
Yeah, of course,
man, it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, Anthony Davis left the game in the first half to be evaluated, ruled out because of back spasms. And that's one of the problems we think that the Lakers are going to run into this year is they got to stay healthy, and they're slipping, man. They're going down right now. If Anthony Davis is not there, I think the Lakers' chances of repeating.
Yeah, just don't tell ESG and Lil Kiki that because they're going to tell you that.
They riding on LeBron, huh? LeBron is going to take us to the promised land. I know they got Schroeder. I know they got a talented team on the Lakers, but I think Anthony Davis was a valuable piece to the team. So without Anthony Davis, if he's going to deal with these back spasms throughout the playoffs, it's going to be tough. And that's not only the bad thing, man, but the Nets have slipped to number 3 in the East. Even though Kevin Durant came back, James Harden has been out. They having trouble right now with chemistry in Brooklyn, man.
They lost to Dallas last night. I watched that while I was at the Golden Nugget. And then not only that, but Steve Nash, the coach, is saying they probably ain't going to be 100% till the playoffs start. But can you have that camaraderie within a week or so? You know what I mean? Can you do that?
No. I'm telling you, man. And James has never been injured like this. You know, he was Mr. Consistent with the Houston Rockets, and then for him to have to deal with the injuries and try to come back with Kyrie and, of course, Durant and try to get that chemistry as the playoff is going on, I don't think that bodes well because, as you said, Milwaukee is hot, just a game, I think, a half behind Brooklyn, and then, of course, Philadelphia is 2.5 games over them. So we can't forget about Philadelphia. The 76ers have been balling. Joel Embiid, he came to H-Town and put up 30 points on your Houston Rockets and mine.
Yeah. It's gonna be a great playoff series, man. I know a lot of people had the Lakers and the Nets penciled in, man, but I'm gonna put the stop sign on that. I'm gonna put the stop sign and say, "Oh, hold on there, wait a minute."
It's rough.
It's gonna be good playoffs, man. It's gonna be a lot of great teams that are gonna be fighting for whether you're the first seed or the 7th or 8th seed. It's gonna be anybody's ball game, depending on how healthy you are. You know.
Yeah, and as Cassandra said, of course, our Rockets have imploded, and y'all know I love it because I told you at the beginning of the Overtime Sports Show, I wanted us to get the top draft pick, and we've been losing like never before, and now we have the NBA's worst record, so we are in position. Kevin Porter just recently got injured as well. You know, Kristen Woods has been out dealing with some injuries, so we're in position to hopefully get those little balls when they do that. That's the lottery balls. Hopefully we'll be able to get the first-round pick, and we can get Cunningham and start on the process of rebuilding our Rockets team, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah, but congratulations, man. We got to say, to former Houston Rocket Westbrook, you know, he became the only NBA player in history with multiple 20 assists and 20 rebound games. G-Man, it looked like his game is going to another level, man.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't know if it's because he does have Bradley Beal. He does got a nice squad behind him, man. But, you know, it just like when he was here in Houston, I guess the ball had to be in so many different people's hands that he couldn't do what he wanted to do like he did in OKC and like he can do now in Washington, man. But he's definitely balling out, man. He's also an average for the 4th time, a triple-double for the whole year. So he locked that up a couple of days ago. And he's balling, man. You got to put Russ in there as the MVP talk. But you know what they say, if your record has to reflect, man. But Derek says, say something about my Mavs, man. I'm gonna say with the Mavs. Mavs got Luka.
Play-in game. It ain't a play-in game. We know. Yeah. Come on, Derek.
I think the Mavs gonna make a little noise. But if you ask me, are they going to make it all the way? No, I think they're going to be like what the Rockets were a few years ago. They're going to be on the brink of making the second round championship. But that's about it. I can't see them going. Not now. Not this year, at least.
Yeah, Derek, get your tickets fast. Watch quick because it's going to be over quick.
And by the way, I will be in AT&T Cowboy Stadium tomorrow, hating every minute of it because it's the Cowboy Stadium. But I will be there tomorrow night watching the Canelo fight. But I will be in Cowboy Stadium tomorrow. And I'm gonna think about their games and all my Cowboy lovers out there. So
you know he love it. He all Dallas. He all Dallas and live in Houston. I just don't get it, but it's a whole nother story. Man, we gotta send a big shout out. TSU, Texas Southern University, is where I'm from, and we got a big recruit this past week. The son of Shaquille O'Neal has committed to Texas Southern University. We're starting to see a lot of these 4-star, 5-star athletes commit to the HBCUs, and I am excited about it. We need more of them to come. He's definitely a big-time shooter, and we're looking forward to him coming to the NCAA tournament. Texas Southern University Tigers, if I might say, for all my PVU fans out there watching us today.
Yeah, and you know Shaq had a lot to do with that because Shaq loves him some H-Town. Like one day he was listening, he was driving around. I had we had a comedian in the studio hanging out with us. He was listening, so he called up. And we was kind of just riding a little bit about how he's talking about Houston being a small city and all that. But he said, man, I lived in Woodland, Pearland, Sugarland, every land in Houston. So he loves H-Town, man. So I think that was a big reason why he came here because he knew that that's a good spot for him to be at, man, right now.
Man. I'm so excited. Of course, like I said, we went to the NCAA tournament. So adding him to the squad for the fall is going to be real big for Texas Southern University. And I'm just excited about, these top recruits finally coming to the HBCUs. We saw it with Deion Sanders taking over the coaching ranks and doing good at Jackson State. And we're seeing other coaches and former NFL players who are thinking about becoming head coaches of our HBCUs. So I hope this trend continues. and we see this great impact. And speaking of the trend, the Astros, man, rolled out of New York with a victory. We lost the first 2 games, but Jose Altuve on his 31st birthday, he took him over the gates, baby. They booed him the first.
I like the fact that they beat. Oh, he didn't get the loss, but Garrett Cole from Astro was the starting pitcher.
Yes, sir.
Lance McCullers struck out 8. Cole struck out 4. McCullers looked great, and if it works out like this for the rest of the year, I'm okay with McCullers replacing Garrett Cole in the starting lineup, man. Because he was definitely balling.
Yeah,
I just Garrett Cole, but hey, he was balling.
Well, the thing about it, man, you think about it when you play against your former team, like we know your tendencies. We've been watching you like you've been watching us, and I think they were able to jump up on him. Of course, they had 4 home runs on yesterday to be able to silence the Yankees crowd, and in crucial times, they showed up like the Astros, like we've been telling everybody, Brent, you got to wait and just ride this season out. It's over 160 games. Oh, yeah. It's going to be a battle for us. Yeah. And I'm excited about this squad.
It's not a sprint, man. It's a marathon, man. You just want to make it to the tournament, man. And you saw what the Astros did last year. They hopped into the tournament, the playoffs, hobbled. But once they got in the playoffs, they turned it on, and they were down 0-3 to the Tampa Bay Rays, and then came back and tied that thing up before eventually losing to go to the game to go to the World Series. But I don't count my Astros out for nothing, man. We have a great team, and all the boos and cheer. Hey, you can do that all you want. I love the fact that Dusty Baker came up to Altuve after he hit that home run and kind of got a hug and said, "Look, man, you went through a lot this weekend or this last couple of days, and that's how you show people, how you do things." Yeah. So he grabbed him by the shoulder and said, "I know." I can just imagine what he told him. I know he said, "Hey, man, good about what you did. They booed you. You came out here and played hard."
Yeah, because he mentioned to him, he said in the press conference, he mentioned to him the fact that he said, "I hit a home run in a big game against an enemy territory." So he said, "I know it feels good for you to do it." He says, "Because I talked to you about the game doing it, and for you to do it on your birthday was even extra special. Now we go to play Toronto, and we'll get to see." Well, George Springer is out, but we'll get to play Toronto as one of the hot teams now. I hate that Springer is out because he's been friends with everybody on the team. I like to see that battle, but we're looking forward to this battle with Toronto and seeing the Astros do a great season. As we get ready to bring this to a close, Floyd Mayweather got into a little battle with Jake from State Farm. Wasn't it Jake from State Farm?
Jake Paul. And actually, he's not even fighting Jake Paul. He's fighting his brother Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Paul got up in there, and I don't know. I look at that video, and I see him snatching the hat. Now, Mayweather got 30,000 bodyguards. There ain't no way they were going to let that man disrespect him like that and not whoop his ass.
Yeah.
I think it was staged, bro.
Yeah, he talking about I took your hat. They were gonna take. I took your hat. Like what? I took your hat. Like come on, man. Like you said, the bodyguards and everybody was in position. We saw that. Nobody moved until after. Of course, he took the little hat off. Then Mayweather, took some choice words to him and they swung on him a little bit. But I'm like you, Jake Paul. Come on, man. With his stage, your little brother. He comes out as a brother trying to stand up for his brother. I'm just ready to see the guys battle to fight out. Let's get it on, man. And all this stuff to try to sell tickets. I'm not buying that, man.
I've never been into that. People know real. We talk about it on the radio all the time. When you're on the air, people know when you're happy. People know when you're being fake, and people know when you're watching this kind of what we're seeing. They know. Wait a minute, that's not real. We know that's not real. That's not real. Yeah. Come on, you're not being real with us, man. We're smarter than that. Yeah. So first thing I saw when I thought about when I saw that was like, man, come on, we ain't that dumb, bro. Come on.
No, we're not that dumb. No. Like Carlton said, WWE, the boosting the ratings. It's all scripted. This is scripted boxing. You're going to get into it with the brother of the guy that wants to fight you. Like, come on, man. Nobody trying to fight this.
And then the brother is the better fighter, but he's fighting Mayweather. Not stupid, man. His whole career, 50-0, he knew who he was fighting. He fought Canelo when Canelo was 21. He knew he couldn't fight Canelo when Canelo was 26 in his prime. That could have been a different story. But he knew he fought Pacquiao 5 years too late. But that's the thing about Mayweather, man. He's a great salesman, man. He can go out there and sell you oceanfront property in Arizona. You know what I'm saying? He's a great salesman, man, and he knows what he's doing.
The money team, baby. But listen, guys, we appreciate you being with us today. Got to say thank you again to retired Houston Texan Chester Pitts. What a great, awesome interview today and a great wealth of knowledge that he shared with us. and the Houston Texans and their draft picks as well. G-Man, let everybody know how they can follow you. You didn't do your Dolly Madison and all your Christian mingle and all that stuff on Mother's Day weekend. You didn't want to do that in honor of your mother. I get it.
And I had to respect the wife, because I told her, babe, I said, I'll be on that Tinder and Dolly Madison and Pornhub, all everything. Follow me, G-Man 979. I'm on all that. I'm getting an OnlyFans. I'm starting it up real soon. So G-Man 979, Twitter, Instagram, everything.
Yes, sir. And it is Mother's Day weekend, so we want to send a big shout out to all of the mothers. My mother has been gone since 2009. But big shout out to heaven to Amanda Valerie. I appreciate her and love her for all the sacrifice and love that she gave to me. If your mom's still here, hug her, love her.
Sure.
Make sure you spend on her big time, and you can keep up with me, of course, Faith and Fame with AV. Across the social media platforms and on Magic 102.1. We got the house party weekend, Battle of the Bands this weekend, starting at noon on tomorrow. We're featuring all bands, Gap Band, SOS Band, even your childhood bands that you grew up on. We want you to check us out from noon tomorrow all the way until midnight, the best of the Battle of the Bands inside the house party, and keep up with us and join us every Friday, 6 p.m. Spread the word. Share it right now.
Happy Heavenly Mother's Day, my mom, my sister. Have a great weekend. All the beautiful mamas out there. Happy Mother's Day. We out.
Man, do your dance. Do your dance, man. Do your dance. You do your dance. You got to do your dance. There it is. Oop, there it is. Whoop, there it is.